If you've ever looked at a school-aged kid and just wondered, what is going on in there? Well, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into that incredible journey, from the growth spurts you can see with your own eyes to the quiet but absolutely revolutionary upgrades happening inside their brains.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start on the outside, with the physical changes. Then we'll peek under the hood, at the brain's big upgrade. We'll see how that new hardware unlocks totally new ways of thinking, and we'll even challenge the idea of what smart really means. And finally, we'll wrap up with how we can support every single child on their own unique journey.
All right, first up, growing bodies, growing skills. This is all about the stuff you can actually see, the physical growth that's fueling all sorts of brand new abilities.
Okay, so after that crazy whirlwind of toddlerhood, things kind of slow down to a steadier pace. We're talking about 5 to 7 pounds and 2 to 3 inches a year. But it's not just about getting taller. Nope, they're getting stronger, their muscles are developing, their lungs are getting bigger, which probably explains that bottomless well of energy they have on the playground.
And this is pretty fascinating. While every single kid is different, of course, we do tend to see some patterns emerge. For instance, some kids just seem to master those big, whole-body movements, the gross motor skills like riding a bike, really fast. Meanwhile, other kids might just blow you away with their fine motor skills, the really precise hand movements you need for writing or stringing tiny beads.
All this new physical skill often leads kids right into organized sports. And this number right here, 3 million. That is the number of kids playing soccer in the United States. It's a huge deal, a great way to learn social skills, stay active, and have a little friendly competition.
But, there's a flip side to this sports boom. When winning becomes the only thing that matters, it can really suck the fun out of it. And a lot of kids just quit. At the end of the day, the real goal should be to help them find a love for the game, something that lasts, and just let their own natural talent shine through.
Okay, so we've covered the changes on the outside. Now let's go a little deeper. It's time to look at the truly mind-blowing stuff happening on the inside. Let's talk about the brain's big upgrade.
Right between the ages of 6 and 8, something incredible happens. The brain goes through this massive growth spurt, and it's not just getting bigger, it's getting way, way more efficient. This is what lays the groundwork for all the amazing new ways of thinking that we're about to get into. And the secret sauce behind this upgrade? It's a process called myelination. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like upgrading your home's internet from that old, slow dial-up to blazing fast fiber optics. That's exactly what myelination does for the brain. It coats the nerve cells with this fatty sheath, which is like insulation, letting thoughts and signals travel at lightning speed. It's a total game changer, especially in the parts of the brain responsible for planning and coordinating.
So what does this actually look like in real life? Well, as the brain's control center, the prefrontal cortex, matures, you start to notice it. You'll see kids who can plan things out better, who can actually pay attention for longer periods, and who have way more control over their emotions. Yeah, those big toddler meltdowns, they start becoming a thing of the past.
Okay, so the brain's hardware has gotten a major upgrade. Now let's talk about the awesome new software it can run. This brings us to Section 3, Thinking in New Ways and the Emergence of Logical Thought.
The legendary psychologist Jean Piaget had a name for this period, the concrete operational stage. And this isn't just a small step forward, it's a giant leap. For the very first time, kids can use real logic to figure out problems in the world around them. They're finally starting to grasp ideas like past, present, and future, which unlocks this amazing new ability to plan ahead and work towards a goal.
And you can see these new skills popping up everywhere. By around age 8, a lot of kids can read an old-school analog clock. They can understand how much coins are worth. They get concepts like half, and they can connect cause and effect. And these aren't just things they've memorized. This represents a whole new, organized, logical way of thinking. And one of their new cognitive superpowers is something called inductive reasoning. Think of it as bottom-up logic. It works like this. They see their cat purrs. Then they see their friend's cat purrs. Then they see a cat in a book, and it purrs. So their brain makes a generalization. All cats must purr. This ability to spot patterns is just fundamental to how they make sense of their world, even if their conclusions aren't always 100% perfect.
So now that we've seen how these kids are thinking, let's take a step back and challenge the whole idea of intelligence itself. Welcome to Section 4, More Than One Smart.
I'll just ask you straight up, what does it actually mean to be smart? For a really long time, we had this super narrow definition, and it turns out we were missing a huge piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, for ages, the IQ test was the gold standard. But now we know it has some pretty serious flaws. It can be culturally biased for one, and it totally ignores things like creativity, emotional intelligence, or resilience, you know? A high IQ might help you get good grades, but it is absolutely no guarantee of a happy or successful life.
And this is where Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences completely changes the conversation. It's a much more complete and honestly useful way of looking at things. Gardner said, hey, let's stop thinking of intelligence as this single thing you either have a lot of or a little of. Instead, he suggested we all have a unique mix of at least 8 distinct intelligences.
Just take a look at these 8 intelligences. Now, schools tend to focus almost exclusively on the first 2, word smart and number smart. But what about the kid who is an amazing artist, they're picture smart, or the natural athlete who is body smart? What about that friend who just gets people, they're people smart? This framework is such a powerful reminder that every single child is smart, just in their own incredible, unique way.
So the big question is, how can we actually use all this information to support every kid? Let's get practical.
It's really important to know that because so much is happening so fast. The early school years are often when a parent or a teacher might first notice that a child seems to be developing a little differently from their peers. Sometimes these are called developmental red flags.
And the most important thing is what to do if you have a concern. And it's not about panicking. There's a really clear 3-step process. First, ask questions. Find out about the child's health history. Second, document what you're seeing. Just keep a simple record of your observations. And third, communicate. Share what you've noticed with the child's doctor and their teachers.
And the reason to do this and to do it early is crystal clear. As this quote says, getting a child's support when they're young can completely change their future. It's all about giving them the tools they need to succeed and to thrive on their own terms. So, all of this leaves us with a really crucial question. Knowing that every child is this amazing, unique blend of all these different intelligences, how can we, as parents, as educators, as a community, build a world that doesn't just tolerate those differences, but celebrates and nurtures every single one of them? Thank you for exploring that with me.